and nobody's watching. Just quite yet. All right, party people and the place to be. Sorry for the short notice. We are live here on Draft Therapy. What I plan to do is go through these all together beers. I only have 3. I didn't go through and buy additional beers. I was going to buy the Odd Side beer, which just hit shelves in my area today. So while no one maybe, well, if you hear this after the fact, yeah, that's what I'm going to be covering today are the all together beers here. And I have a special guest from sombeer.com, John Fahrner. John, you're on. Hello, how are you?
Good evening.
Good evening. If anybody in the chat can hear us, let us know. I think that should be all squared away and straightened out. First off, anybody out there been able to get their hands on any of these all-togethers? I would love to hear your opinion on these. John, have you been able to try any of these yet?
I haven't tried any of them. I saw a couple of them today when I was out and about at Holiday. I didn't see the Odd Side one that you were talking about, but I saw the Witch's Hat one, and I don't remember what the other one was, but 2 of them. So
did you see the Witch's Hat one in the store?
I'm pretty sure I saw it at Holiday, yeah.
Well, that's cool. That's good to see. I'm glad to see a lot of these places are getting out. You know, they're not just like taproom only releases. They're actually getting out and hitting shelves. I know that Witch's Hat obviously has had pretty good, you know, they've been pretty good about getting their stuff out on the shelves recently. And I've seen Ascension a few times, which I didn't expect to really ever see, but now they have a deal with M4, so that makes sense. But that's pretty cool. I think that's cool that they're able to get out there and, you know, see how it fares on the market. So Absolutely. What is everybody... Oh, I'm sorry, John. What are you drinking tonight, and what's everybody in the chat drinking?
I'm going to start with a Johann, which is a Vienna lager from Drafting Table that they just canned yesterday. It's been about 3 years since I've had this beer. They weren't canning it at the time, so I'm kind of excited to get it in a glass and get a taste on it again. Good place to start.
Every time someone says it's been, I think of the Bare Naked Ladies song, and I sing it in my head.
It's fair.
Is it? Who is it fair to? It's not fair to me. Okay, so down the line, we'll go down the line. What I have here on my lineup, we have the Holmes All Together. This was canned about 2 weeks ago. There's no date. I think it's been 2 weeks. Maybe it may have been 3 weeks. We have the Witch's Hat here in the middle, and then we have the Transient / Speciation / Rake Beer Project. I've been saying that. I feel like I've been saying that like combination of words a lot recently. And you can tell that this is Witch's Hat and the Rake / Speciation / Artisan Transient because they have the see-through labels. It's really cool when you go to the shelves and you look at it, and it's a transparent label. That's really crazy how they do that. But so I'm just going to have them. I don't want to show off the transparent side. So I'm going to start with the Holmes. I'm going to pour these down the line. Feel free to interject. And yeah, so I'll just start on this. And if you want to talk about anything else while I do this, I'm going to go to the close-up.
Love the color on that. Just a nice copper Vienna amber type color on it. Probably looks terrible on this camera, but
no, it looks pretty good.
So amazing beer.
All right, so let's get this all situated. Again, this is the Holmes version of All Together. And if you're not familiar out there, All Together is a collaborative effort between these breweries and Other Half in Brooklyn. And the proceeds, it's a worldwide collaboration brewed to support hospitality professionals. I know a lot of these breweries that are doing All Together are doing it, and the proceeds are going to their staff, which is fairly, you know, very appropriate.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if you've seen this on the review, you should be familiar with this pour. Maybe not my, you know, you should be familiar with my pour. My pour.
I don't know. I kind of dug you for the Witch's Hat one where you had like a whole fist of head. That was pretty good.
Yeah, that was a regular glass too.
Right.
I think. So yeah, dank notes. A little bit of citrus in there, a little tropical. I'm going to open the... I'm curious to see how the Witch's Hat fares against this. So we're going to move this out of the way. This one was just canned last Friday. I know for a fact because that's when I picked it up.
I know they were talking about canning it at the midpoint of the week, but that sounds about right if they did it on Friday. So
I could see them maybe batching it in two or canning it in 2 batches.
I picked up some of the Mr. Tiger today too. So that's, if we get to it, that will be beer number 4. So
this has a lot more of a subdued aroma, and it's 12-ounce can, so it would make sense that it's not going to pour as heavy or as as much volume wise. Just to give you an idea, looking at these two like side by side right now in the same light and everything, they look near identical. I would say the only difference, it's this nice bright yellow color, head's the same, bubbles are the same. The only difference is this one looks a little bit lighter to me, because this one to me is kind of more directly in the light. And then I'll open the Transient Rake Speciation version.
from where I was in, the Witch's Hat one looked a little hazier, like it was a little more cloudy, but that might have just been the camera.
Yeah. They're pretty identical in person. So then this is, again, the Rake. I keep saying Rake first, but Transient Speciation. This one, to me, just pouring, looks a lot clearer, but it's hazy. I mean, it's, splitting hairs as to the difference in the look. So we're going to put them all in a row here. So we're going to leave the Transient, Witch's Hat, Holmes, and to me, those look pretty damn near identical.
Yeah, they look pretty close.
All right, so this one has that same kind of dankness that the Holmes one has. So I think it's kind of like, and maybe a little bit more lemony, like citrus, zesty, lemony on the Transient. So I think in the smell department, these two on the ends are like a lot more aromatic, and then the one in the middle here is a little bit more subdued taste-wise. I don't remember it being this kind of lemony, the Holmes one. I think when I did the actual review, it was a little bit more bright, like tropical. The Witch's Hat is a little bit more bitter. It's a little bit more of that, a little more kind of lemon zesty, like more of a zesty flavor than like a pithy or any kind of flavor like that. But it's a little bit more, it's got a little bit more of that citrus bitterness to it. And then the Transient.
Does the Witch's Hat one, I think with their beers especially, when I drink a Witch's Hat beer, I'm very much so aware of the fact that I'm drinking a Witch's Hat beer, even if you don't tell me which beer it is. Does that hold true with the All Together?
I mean, I don't really put a lot of thought into Witch's Hat having kind of like a similar profile on a lot of their beers. But I guess I see what you're saying, because when I think of like a deflowered or something of that kind of strain of their beer, right, it does have a kind of a similar taste to something like this guy, even though this guy is like a lactose beer, which it used to be. I don't know if it still is, but yeah, I guess I could see what you're saying, but I don't really pick that up out of this. But it is definitely, I mean, hands down, the most IPA-like of the bunch of these three. Okay. So yeah, if I had to say like which one's more of like the IPA kind of beer, like straight up IPA, it's going to be the Witch's Hat one. These two, the Holmes and the Transient, are a little bit more kind of nebulous in that respect.
I would almost expect those two to be a bit more on the funky side, where I would expect more of a dense, heavier beer out of the Witch's Hat one.
Yeah, maybe more of a traditional.
Yeah,
out of Witch's Hat. Yeah, it's funny because now that I'm trying these a week after the initial drink, these two on the end are not as different as they were. So it's already over, a week or whatever it was, 2 weeks at this point since I filmed the review for them. They're pretty different, from how I remember them being. But yeah, I mean, they're all really very similar, obviously, all following the same recipe. What do you think would come down to that? I don't think they put much of a twist on these, but I think water profile probably has a bit to play, but I don't know how big of a role it plays.
Well, again, I don't know their method over there. Like, I'm not trying to claim that. It just seems like whenever I get a whether it's a hazy or a stout or whatever, whatever that's pick that type of beer. It seems like what just has their own way they do it. And like if I get an IPA from them, they all have the same consistency, more or less. They're going to change a little bit in the flavors, but especially if you're looking at their hazy stuff, like the two you mentioned, or I think it was 1-800 Wet Hop or something like that. Cones of Dunshire, all of them, they all have different flavor profiles, but the body and the just sheer mass of the beer seems to be very consistent with them.
What do you sorry, I'm trying to see something here that I can't see for some reason. Okay. Want to take that off. So if you just joined the video, I have John from sombeer.com here. I just kind of went through these all together. These are the three I was able to pick up in Michigan and kind of threw out, if anybody out there has been able to try the all-togethers, which I think we had some comments saying that they did. And we have some other channel comments or some live chat comments, not live on Facebook this time, just YouTube. But we'll go through some of the comments in a minute. But I wanted to ask your opinion on this. So I know that other half on altogether.beer, I don't know why I'm slurring so early, but on altogether.beer, they list all the 700 plus breweries in the world that are participating. And, they had a template, like a label template, so you could go to the store. You didn't have to use it, but it was like, hey, if you need a template, a label, you don't have the time to design one or whatever, we have a design that you can use. Have you seen in your many travels, because John and I talked earlier, we both went out to pick up beer today, and I didn't end up going into the two stores that I wanted to go into because I'm that kind of guy. I don't like to wait for stuff. But have you noticed in your travels any beers that either are using the altogether kind of, I don't know, slogan, but they're not part of that group, or maybe they're not using that like label? I know Oddside isn't using the label; they're using their own kind of design.
No, but most of my travels where I've been getting beer since the world ended has been primarily going direct to the brewery for the most part. I've made a couple trips to the local holiday market just because you can buy singles there. But I mean, if I don't find what I want, I'm trying to get in and out of there quick. And if I don't find what I want, I don't cruise too long. And to be honest, like as much as I like that store, I don't really look too much past the singles section for whatever they have there. So I haven't noticed it, but I also haven't really been looking for it. So that might be part of why.
Yeah, I like going there because they have the singles, and I do check what they have, because sometimes I feel like for me, they just have so much stuff that sometimes you walk through the singles section and you're like, oh, I didn't see what I wanted. And then you go back and you see other stuff they have on the shelf and you're like, man, I wonder if they have a single of that. And you go back, you go back the third time. Or for me, I go back like several times. I'm like the 25-minute in the beer aisle guy. So I'll, go, okay. Yeah. It's like, oh, that one, I missed it. The only one, so I know Oddside did like a kind of, just talking Michigan, obviously, of the 13 or whatever breweries that did it. Oddside had one that was a little bit different. It's like, we're all in this can together, which was kind of odd. And then, I don't know, have you seen Big Lakes all together?
I didn't know it was part of the all together thing, but I did see theirs today. That's called like, we're all in this together or something like that.
Yeah, I think a yellow with two mugs.
Yeah. I thought it was a different beer altogether, and they were just playing off of that. I didn't realize they were actually doing the same recipe.
Yeah, I don't know if they are. That was going to be my question. When I went to my local place here, when I got the Transient one, I was like, hey, do you guys have the all-together beer? And he was like, yeah, we have the one from Transient, and then we have the Big Lake one. And I was like, I don't think that's part of the series. I mean, they're not on the website, and that doesn't mean that, that maybe they didn't, they weren't part of it. But
yeah,
I think it's like a lager.
I didn't think it was I didn't look that close at it, to be honest. I stopped at a different store to grab a couple cigars for the holiday, and they're the one who had it that I noticed it at. So, yeah. But yeah, I had already grabbed something else by that point. So I was like, all right, I've already spent like $70 on beer. I should probably calm down. So
$70 this weekend.
Right.
Yeah, that's the problem. I don't like going to places that don't sell singles because, I mean, you and I were talking about this before. It's like, if you don't know If it's something that you're not sure if you're going to like, or if you've never had and you're just kind of like, oh, that sounds interesting, you know, and you go there, drop $16 on a 4-pack of beer that you might have one and really enjoy, and have like, you know, 3 that you're just going to sit on for the rest of the time. It kind of sucks.
Well, I don't mind. I'll try anything once. Like part of why I love Shorts is because I fully admit, like, I love that brewery, but they have maybe of the, like, I'm guessing 400 beers they release a year. It seems like there's probably 5 that I go back to on a regular basis. But like, I just grabbed was it the Ooze the other day? Like, I just picked up a bottle of that again just to try. It was pretty good. Like, I actually probably would drink all 6 if I had bought the whole 6-pack. But for every one that I get that I'm like, oh, I could drink 6 of these, I get, you know, 20 that I'm like, that was weird. That's kind of the extent of it.
Yeah, it's just kind of, it's tough, you know, whatever. It's beer. What are you gonna do?
Well, I still prefer, like I said, if I have the option, I'd rather buy it right from the brewery. So I do. Yeah. That does kind of give me tunnel vision sometimes with what I want to buy, because I tend to frequent the same like 5 places when I have the option. So, but that's why I like the stores like Holiday that do the singles and have a good selection of them, other than just like the same 10 things that everyone has. At least I can still, you know, I can't get to Transit every weekend. You know, I mean, I can, but I'm not going to, because it's right. Another drive that I'm not going to. But I can go out there and when they have 4 or 5 things that I haven't tried, I can just grab them all at once and, you know, try them. So I like that for breweries I want to support, but can't necessarily get to very often.
Yeah. Yeah. It's weird, especially with Transient, seeing them at so many different places now, when it used to be like, oh, you want that Transient beer? Yeah. 8 Degrees has that. Oh, Cultivate has that. And you go to either place. Well, not so much Cultivate, but I know 8 Degrees would be like, you go the next day after they post something about it, and it was always gone. So it's weird to see going to any bottle shop pretty much, or liquor store, and seeing it on the shelf. Like, oh, that's interesting. I mean, it's not something that I'm used to seeing.
I found a bottle of Buckwheat on the shelf there at Holiday like a few weeks ago.
Oh yeah.
And damn near lost my mind. Just never see this beer out here, you know, without someone who brought it back for you. So instantly threw it in the cart. Didn't even look at the price.
Did you post about that?
I put it on Instagram, I think.
Yeah, I saw that something from you about that, and I was like, oh, that's weird. I didn't know if you had gotten it just then, because I bought a bottle of Buckley, I don't know, just like maybe a month or 2 ago. I got Neckbeard Nectar, and I got Buckley like right at the same time, but from 2 different places.
Yeah, this literally, like I said, I went in to do my normal, see what I can get in singles, and Holiday, I think it was Holiday, and it just happened to be sitting there. I'm like, well, that's going home. That's all there is to it. So,
all right, let's go into the comments. Let's see. So I know that we have Rob and Fabian in, and I know we have Carlos and DPAR28. We got Tyler and Rob. Mike, I got to get a bigger like screen to look at this stuff, because it's like I never see everything.
Did Rob get his glass yet?
No, he didn't. I haven't left the house. Today was like the first day that I've left the house and gone into a store.
Well,
come on, give me a break. Jeez, it's gonna be like a recurring thing. The next time you're gonna be on, you're gonna be like, "Hey, just send Rob his glass," and be like, "No."
I mean, now it's just entertaining. So
what's that?
Now it's just entertaining. So
yeah, well, I can bring it out and I'll show it. Like every time we do one of these, I think it's just gonna be a tradition. I'm gonna bring the glass out and be like, "Yeah, hey Rob, I got this glass. I'll send it to you." But you said it before he did, so I'm not going to blame him. So we went through what you're drinking. Rob said he's starting with a witch's hat, the flowered. Rob, I'm assuming that's available at your local store. And that's the other thing I wanted to say in chat. If you have a local bottle shop to you that sells singles, that's like your go-to for singles, let us know in the comments, because more than likely there's somebody in your area that that's looking for singles. Because I know for me, like today was like the day I'm going to trek out and I'm going to go and buy some singles. And like I said, I went to Holiday. I went to 8 Degrees, and I didn't know. I saw Tim bring out like 2 cases for somebody, and I wasn't sure if they had like in-store shopping yet. And I saw him sitting by the door, and I don't know him well enough. So I was like, yeah, I'll just go. I don't want to even. I'm so like.
I'm still not clear if you're actually allowed to go in there, or if you just have to do everything. So I didn't trek down there yet.
They've been really kind of eerily silent in social media because generally they're like, hey, we got this in. They're really upfront about that. They post a lot of stories on Instagram or, wherever. And I haven't seen anything for a couple weeks. And it was like, when we started this whole thing, 8 weeks ago or whatever, it was like day 1 quarantine beer, day 2, day 3. And then it like stopped. It was radio silence for, I don't know, a week. Easy. Right. Well, weeks. I think they just posted something after that. Fabian said he just picked up a growler of Robert the Bruce from Three Floyds, aged in Dark Lord barrel. Wow, Dark Lord barrels, that sounds good. With marshmallow graham crackers and I'm going to say cocoa. How do you pronounce that, John?
Cacao.
That's what I say, and then everybody rags on me about it. Special release, sold out in 10 minutes. Wow. That's pretty damn quick. Carlos is going to pick up some Ascension tomorrow, hopefully. Are they doing, I thought that they said they were delivery tomorrow.
Oh, I didn't see what I saw they had some surprise drop that they announced last night, but I didn't really look much past it. So,
yeah, it was that pale that they've been, is it 5th stop or 3rd stop? Yeah. And then 2 dumpster fire and then a stout, like a 5% pastry stout, which sounded pretty interesting. Holmes, great sours. I agree. Deepar, thanks for the review. Tyler says he is drinking an Anti-Hero by Revolution. What do you think of that, John? What do you think of Anti-Hero?
Viva.
All right. Yeah, I think I've had one.
It's been a while since I've had, but it's good. So
I like that we can get them kind of readily here now too.
Yeah.
So Rob was commenting on your beer haul today. He spent 80. What did you, Rob? Let us know what you got. Oh, well, he told us the next comment.
70 was just what I spent today. I also picked up another 60 that I had ordered from yesterday that I couldn't pick up till today. So,
have you been buying anything from Tavour lately?
No. True. I mean, I don't want to say anything bad about them, but I don't order from them typically.
They've been kind of my lifeline because I think for this week's reviews, I went out today looking for beer to buy to review. And the only thing, well, I didn't find anything, but the only thing I have to do is the Masagave side by side. I want to do the Masagave grapefruit versus the regular. So I was like, well, I got this stuff from Tavour, and that made me think of the couple. I have 4 things in my box for next time, which was supposed to ship on the 17th. And then so they're like, hey, we fill up your box, finish it up because we're going to send it out. And then the 17th came. And they're like, hey, another chance. We're going to move it to the 26th. It's like, I have stuff in there that I don't want to wait another 3 weeks for. I have Juicy Bits, which I don't know how well that's going to hold up. I don't know.
My guess is it's probably not actually there yet, which is why they're telling you it's going to wait till whenever.
Water? Oh, I'm sorry. Thanks for joining, but I'm sorry you have to drink water. That's bad. Rob says Witch's Hat is available. I can't see some of these, so we got Deepar is going to drink Lucky Charms from Kunin. I don't know. Do you know what that is? I have no idea what that is.
Not familiar with that one. I like Kunin, so I'm sure it's good, but I'm not familiar with that one.
It's a place that I need to get more. The only thing I've had from them is Drippa, and I had Blueberry Drippa at a festival, which who knows when the next festival we're going to have is. But I need to get more of their stuff.
The white rice Drippa, that one's really good. It's called White Devil or something. I don't know. It's in a red can.
Okay. Yeah.
That one's really good. I've had a couple things from them. They're one of those breweries that's just far enough away that I don't really make a point. I feel like if I'm going to drive that far, I kind of want to go west. So I don't get there as much as I should. But everything I've had, I've liked from them.
Yeah, I saw that. Kind of speaking of going east, when Holiday posted some stuff, I saw they had some Urban Rest stuff available, and that was one of the things I was going to try and pick up this weekend because I haven't had anything from them since the last time I went there, which was a year ago. Yeah,
it's about how long it's been since I've been there. Went there, and I don't know, it was the most Ferndale brewery you could possibly go to. So
it's not a bad thing.
No, it's not a bad thing, but it was one of those you look around like I'm very aware of my surroundings right now. So
Yeah. It's cool. A lot of those tables and stuff are like sponsored tables, which I think is a cool idea. They're like,
oh, yeah.
this table was helped because they kickstarted almost the entire brewery, didn't they?
I'm not sure, but it seems like they popped up out of nowhere, so maybe.
I've heard they've been doing a lot of really good stuff lately. I haven't had a chance to go out there, and I think when I would go out I think it's tough when you have a brewery that doesn't have either food trucks or a really good food option. Um, I think it's just tough, like when I'm out someplace, sometimes it's like I haven't eaten and I want to go to a brewery and I go, I do end up going, but it's like after you have
Right.
two or three, you're like, man, I really could get something to eat here. And when all you have is like a charcuterie board or,
Yeah,
some
that truck
crackers
really
or
was
whatever.
legit. So
Yeah, that's true. But,
they have gotten better with the food truck thing. I know before this, like last fall, they had a couple they were doing like three nights a week, basically.
of different food trucks?
Yeah. Yeah, and they were different ones than what we because I'm in the lakes area, so they were different for the most part, different trucks than what we get over here. And we are actually thinking about heading out there just for the food truck. So
I'm going to move this monitor. So pretend that if this was edited thing, I would cut this out. But I'll be right back. Well, that's fun.
radio
All
silent.
right, now I can actually see what you guys are writing. That's always a good thing. I don't need to see you and me. I need to see what they're writing, what everybody's writing.
Right.
So Carlos says, "Don't forget Supernatural." Have you been to Supernatural before?
Yep. I'm friends with Nick, who used to be at Witch's Hat when he came out of school. So
Oh, okay. Yeah, he's like the head brewer there, right?
yep. So I haven't tried any of their spirits, but I've had quite a few of their beers.
I've only had when they first opened, I ended up going there on a Black Friday because I think they opened like right around late October, like mid-November. It was really weird because that place was a steakhouse. It used to be an old steakhouse, and it was like I work right by there, and I would come over and be like, "Oh, it's Herc's," and then after a while they'd be like, "Coming soon,
Okay.
Supernatural." I'm like, I have never heard of this place.
Herc's.
How have I never heard that they're gonna put a brewery
Forgot
here?
about Herc's.
I think
every time I've gone there, I look at the roller rink and think of all the awkward encounters I had with girls at young ages as a kid, because that's where all my school, like up until high school, where they always sent us to go and like mix with each other after class.
that's such a nice way to put it. Mix with each other.
Well, try to. So
Right. Lots of awkward conversations and
yeah,
falling
but
on your ass.
they had a Ninja Turtle arcade game, so that was fun. So
Oh, the 4-player one.
yeah,
Lots of quarters gone down the toilet.
it's actually harder to play that game if you're on roller skates, believe it or not.
Oh, I would, unless you're what am I thinking of? Oh, I'm thinking of the X-Men game because Dazzler, somebody had
Basically
roller skates.
same game.
Yeah, well, I think you could play 6.
Right.
Did you ever play in the one that had the 3 monitors, or it was like the big monitor in the middle and the two on the side?
Yep.
It was like wrap around. Randy has appeared. A wild Randy has appeared.
Herc's, you're bringing back all the Livonia memories now. So.
Yeah. I've had from Supernatural. I've had a couple things. I've gone there a couple times and had some pretty good beer. I know that they like they do those can releases every so often. I haven't made it to any of those though, because I know they were doing curbside for a little while.
They still are, and they do a bunch of like bundles with all their stuff too on the from their curbside. I haven't gone over there to pick up anything curbside. I'm in Waterford now, so going to Livonia to pick up curbside, I can do it for beer, but for food, it's just going to be ruined by the time I get home.
Yeah, that's nice when you get it home and it's like all waterlogged and soggy, and you're like,
Yeah.
"Oh, that was probably good at one point."
Right.
Yeah, I know that when I started kind of doing this channel, they had opened up probably shortly after, maybe like 6 months. And that was one of the things where it was like, yeah, I'll check this place out, and having a few, that was like what New England's were like kind of starting to become the popular thing. And I remember their New England being pretty decent.
I remember they had a peanut butter brown ale that I was really into. And I was talking to Nick about it. I was like, this would be fantastic if you put it in a barrel. He goes, yeah, I can't do that because it would be suspiciously like something that I brewed at my last employer. I'm like, oh, yeah. Forgot about that. So yeah, they do some good stuff there for sure.
Don't they do one? It's like, it's not, is it called Fat Elvis or something? It's like a peanut butter banana stout or something.
Sounds like something they would do.
Yeah. So Dpar28 says, are you rubbing salt in the wound here? He says, when can we buy a draft therapy Tiku glass? I can actually show you what's left because I still have the remnants of it. This is, I'm not going to try not to cut myself, but this is the biggest piece of my Tiku glass that's left. So yeah, that sucks. Actually, I think you and I were talking about this earlier this week about like, where can you get glasses printed? This was like an etched glass. So it's kind of, it's kind of prohibitively expensive I'll just hit it with a hammer a couple times. Right. Prohibitively expensive to buy one-off glasses. And if you buy like bulk glasses, unless you know somebody local, the shipping will kill you, because I was looking at one place and shipping for 100 glasses, let's say 144 glasses, because that's exactly how many. It was like $80 or something for shipping for that. And it's like, well, unless I know somebody local, it's not really RIP. Exactly. F. Right. Press F for respects. That's it's kind of crazy. You could almost build like an Etsy empire. I'm sure there are a few, but I've been looking through Etsy just to see like what kind of glasses are out there, like just, branded, not necessarily even branded, just with like logos or 4-color prints or whatever on glasses. And they sell for like, anywhere from up to $25 to $30. That's like a whole nother level of beer fandom. I don't know if you've gotten into that.
Just getting random like beer glasses?
Yeah, you get like Tikus or like Rostal branded glasses. Like there's a couple different websites that I've looked at that are like, it's like a whole nother vertical of the beer stuff where it's like, yeah, you get this. My business is just selling glasses.
Sadly, most of the glasses that I buy are either from a brewery or something I found at a thrift store that I was like, that would look neat in a picture. So I just grab it for that reason. So
yeah,
which those inevitably break, and then I have to, get something else. But they're cheap, so whatever.
Right. Yeah, you go to a brewery and it's like, oh yeah, I got this glass. It's, $10 or whatever. Probably usually around that time, maybe or around that price, maybe even a little less.
I don't even remember what we paid for these. All I know is that I have 2 Tikus left and 4 tulips, and it's the etching too. So
yeah,
if we did them again, I'd rather get them printed, like actually have the painted or whatever. But like I said, we got them. I know they weren't that expensive for the actual etching, but yeah, the shipping is where they catch you. So
yeah, I know I got mine off Amazon. It was a company that would custom do anything. And that's when I got the draft therapy one. And that was, I think it's like, it's only $14 or something for the glass, which isn't, if you look at Tiku glasses, they're about $14 on their own.
Yeah.
But the shipping was $18. So it was like more to ship it than it would be the cost to do it. And I know a lot when people would ask me, because when I initially would bring out the glass on videos, people would say, hey, how can I get one of these glasses? And it's, yeah, I can send you the link on Amazon. You can buy it, and it's a sponsor. It's like an affiliate link or whatever, and I'll get a few bucks off of it. But it's so expensive just as a one-off. It's almost not worth it.
Yeah, I know when we did ours, some random guy hit us up through our Facebook page, which was asking to print them. And of course, he wanted to way oversell it, but we did just like a small order of it just to kind of mostly to get them for us and family members and stuff like that. We thought about, so we gave a few away for different things. But yeah, I know the glasses weren't that expensive as far as getting them made, but I remember the shipping was a little bit more hefty. So, but they also came like you could have thrown these things like a UPS driver throws them and not had a problem. So
they were pretty insulated.
Yeah. So
yeah, I've been kind of on the lookout since this one broke last weekend. I've been kind of eyeing, going on Etsy or looking on Amazon, maybe not necessarily even a draft therapy one, just some other kind of Tiku, because I really like Tikus in general. I feel like they're really resilient. They're really kind of, it takes quite a bit to break them. I think in this specific example, it was just the way that it fell, just kind of was just on that right spot, like on the weak point, and just it was all over the place. Like it took half an hour to clean it up. And I'm sure that there's probably still stuff all over the place. But every time that I've told somebody about this, like in person, like I've told my family or I told a couple friends, they'll be like, did you get it on video? And I'm like, no, it's like before everything started, I was actually setting up to do a video and it just exploded. It would have been really spectacular to be able to have it someplace and just kind of maybe edit like a explosion. But between that and that IPA glass, it's been a really rough, like 2020, besides all this other stuff that's gone on. Personally, the glass game has been very difficult in 2020. So
places will open up soon. You can restock. So
yeah. I mean, I could always use Robert's glass.
That's
he
true.
Doesn't have it, so
he might get mad about it.
I have a second one. You can have a second one. I don't know. I don't want to over-represent Holmes. I mean, they're a really great brewery, and I really like their beer. But I don't want like all these videos with them getting all this play. I need to have some draft therapy play in there as well.
I don't know. I've seen that Witches had Tiku quite a few times.
Yeah, the Trax one.
Yeah,
that's a good one. I like that one a lot too. It's weird. That one specifically has like, what's that?
It looks bigger.
I just noticed that when I use it, the Holmes one is here. When I use it, it's got it's like when I wash it, it has the water beads on it especially well. It's like there's some kind of coating or something on it that it really water doesn't stick to it. It's just, well, maybe it sticks to it because it's beaded up all over it. But the other Tikus I have aren't like that at all. So if you're joining us late, if you joined later, what this was initially was a comparison between all the Altogether beers in Michigan that I was able to wrangle, which is only 3. I know that a couple places that I wanted to try, like Griffin Claw, they had already sold out way before. Eastern Market / Ferndale Project sold out before I was able to get it. And Oddside is after the fact. Shorts is doing one. I have no clue if that's going to be just a taproom only release, if that's going to hit distribution at all. I don't know. I would be surprised if it doesn't, because Shorts, like you said earlier, has like 500 releases in a year. So I would be surprised if it didn't hit shelves. But other smaller places, I just, I can't be everywhere all the time, unfortunately. On that same kind of subject, what's that?
Why not?
I believe it or not, this isn't my full time, so it's a little tough. But
I'm aware.
Yeah. One thing that I thought was really curious is that one of the Altogether beer breweries that was brewing this beer is a brewery in Ann Arbor called Mothfire. Now, have you ever heard of Mothfire?
No. I used to work in Ann Arbor, so when did they open?
Well, that's the curious part. So they are actually they're rebranded from Pileated. So Pileated was on Industrial in Ann Arbor.
Yeah.
And they've rebranded for some reason. I don't know if it's like I think it used to be 2 main owners. And I don't know if one exited. I looked at Mothfire's bio real quick on their website. And Mothfire is basically like a re-emergence of Pileated. And I don't know why they've rebranded themselves. Like, I don't really get it.
I don't know. Interesting. I haven't been down to Ann Arbor in a while. I should make a trip when things are able to make trips.
When you're able to make a trip?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to be going down there for Beer Fest this year, so I might as well go find a brewery down there.
Yeah, it's true. Have you been to 734?
No.
That's one place that I parked behind it 2 years ago for Beer Fest, and parked near it obviously last year. But that's a place that I still haven't been to. Them, and I think Townies is in the old. Have you ever been? Do you remember Glass House?
Oh yeah,
in Ann Arbor.
Yeah, I love Glass House. So I used to go when I was working down there. That was one of my 2 stops I would make on the way home, pretty regular. Them and Wolverine. So
yeah, I think they closed and reopened. Well, another brewery opened up in their place in their Townies. I think it's Townies. But yeah, that's a couple of the places I need to hit up that I haven't hit up yet at all. Really, I've been to Glass House, but I've never been to Townies, and I've never been to 734. But always, kind of past it.
That's how it came and went so quick. I don't think they even made it a year there. So,
oh, not even that long.
No, they were because when I went in there, it was like me and my buddy in there. Like we came from work and went there just because Wolverine had something going on and we couldn't get in. So like it was that packed. So we're like, well, let's go check this other place out. And we both liked it, but like maybe 2 months later, we were going to go back there just because we left work early. We were sick, and we were going to sick, and we were going to go in there, and they were already closed. So they're right by a like super legit taco shop too. What's that place called? Chela's is right over there, and that place is amazing too. So
that place, so it's like if you're at Holmes and you want to go to Wolverine, it's like right in the middle. Like I think Wolverine's maybe a mile from Holmes. Like I know it's less than 5 minutes driving. Glass House used to be Glass House. Townies is like right down the street, and I thought I thought their beer was pretty good, but when I was still kind of writing reviews before I got into doing as much video as I was doing. I was kind of like prepping. My website was more. I just found a piece of glass. I was doing more writing about like brewery reviews, and the thing that Glass House, it was like an English pub style. Like the inside was really reminiscent, but it felt like if Monk's from Seinfeld was a brewery. That's how it felt to me. It was just really weird. Like it was just felt out of place.
That kind of makes me miss it more.
That, hey man, maybe Townies is just like that. Maybe you can go there and be like, hey, this is like
Seinfeld's bad. So now I'm gonna have to go in there and think of it that way. So
I think Kramer's gonna walk in. I'm gonna have a tuna melt.
Hopefully. So
all right. So if you're joining us late, again, talking about the All Together beers, you can check them out. The other half collaboration at altogether.beer. I have John from sombeer.com with me here, and we're answering your questions, or if you have any questions about beer or anything during this kind of shutdown, and maybe we're finally at the end of it, and maybe we're going to be able to reemerge and hit any breweries. I guess I have a question, and I think I know John's answer, but I'm going to ask everybody watching. With this kind of stay-at-home order kind of loosening a little bit, how long after this whole thing lifts are you going to take before you go to a brewery? I know, we've not been able to go to these places, and obviously this is a beer-centric channel. I don't think I've ever talked about anything on this channel but beer. But
from review a couple days ago.
Yeah. I do these beer reviews every once in a while. How long do you think it'll be before you feel comfortable going to a brewery? Do you feel like, this whole 6 foot kind of personal, what is it? I don't know, social distancing. How do you feel that'll work in a brewery? I know that someplace I was reading just yesterday that the UP, they've opened a few bars and stuff like that, places like that where you can go in, and I think it stopped yesterday or last night at midnight. It was like, technically, what is today, the 22nd? Like the 22nd is when UP breweries, or not breweries, but just bars in general and restaurants could open for customers. And I don't remember the name of the bar, but I read that it was just packed. Like people had driven up from Indiana and all this crazy stuff at midnight. There were like lines to get in. I don't know. I think it's kind of crazy.
I could see Monks being like that up there.
So just for the audience and John, you too, like how long is it going to be until you think that you'll be okay with going back to these kind of places?
If
And
the
not to make
order
it
came down right now that I could go
Yep.
to my brewery of choice, I would be leaving this live stream and going right now. Now, the brewery that I'm referring to, I know what they're doing as far as sanitation and how they're handling everything in there. I know the extremes that they're going to with it because before everything really got bad, they were doing these. They're kind of 2 steps ahead of this every day just to kind of try and stay open as much as possible. So I would have 0 reservations about being there. For most breweries, truthfully, and I feel this way about some of the stores, like most of the stores that are open, like the liquor stores and stuff like that. If you really look at them, most of what these guys are doing, like short of going to a hospital, maybe not even a hospital at this point, the way that they're cleaning everything right now, I keep my house as clean as I can, but I'm pretty sure that some of these stores right now are cleaner than what my house is. So,
well, they have more staff.
yeah, they're paid to do it. I'm not. So for me, I mean, once I'm allowed to go, I mean, I have no real worry about going. So
I'm going to read. So this, I almost interrupted you. I find this hard to believe. Rob says that he has never been to a brewery, so why start now? Rob, I don't know if you're just...
they sell Tikus.
Yeah. Well, he's got one coming for free. Why would he go buy one?
It's true.
So we're going to go and revisit this. I'm still have about, I don't know, I'd say that's probably 2 full beers. But to everybody in the chat, as you can see the banner scrolling by, what you drinking? Let us know in the chat below.
I refilled with a Bach beer from Brew Detroit.
I saw that on shelves today.
I love this beer. It's one of you don't see a ton of breweries cranking out Bachs on a regular basis. At least not if they're willing to can and put on shelves. And this one, the label's rad, but which is nice. But this one's just super rich, super malty, almost caramely to an extent, but not sweet. Really, really good beer. Be better as a fall beer maybe, but I'll drink it anytime. So
that's one that I saw on shelves, and I was like, I should probably try that at some point. And last week I almost picked up the Brew Detroit. Is it Cloud 19?
Yeah. So if you can get the pineapple one while that's still on shelves, so that one was supposed to be super short shelf life.
Yeah.
Then Corona happened. So it's kind of stuck around a little longer because of it. I had one last week. And I'm not a big IPA guy. Most people know that. It is fantastic. It is like one of the best hazy IPAs out there. The regular Cloud 19's awesome too. For me, I just prefer the flavor profile of pineapple over mango.
Yeah, I saw that. I didn't see the pineapple one. I mean, I saw Cloud 19 in a few places. Well, the 2 places I did. So I was a little disingenuous. I said today that I went to 2 places. I went to 3 places. I went in the 3rd place, and I didn't pick anything up because it was kind of weird. Like it's one of my kind of go-tos, but they didn't really have much of anything like that excited me, to say like, oh, okay. But they did have Cloud 19, but I'm kind of looking for the pineapple because I've heard so many good things about it.
If you go back to Holiday, they still had it today.
Don't again salt in the wound.
Line moved quick. Don't worry about it.
Well, the thing that I think is funny is that you won't wait in line at a brewery for beer.
I won't wait in line for beer normally at all. Truthfully, the reason why I wait in line, there's 2 reasons. One, I had to drive 25 minutes to get there. And I was not going to drive 25 minutes to a grocery store and get turned away to not buy anything. That seemed dumb. And there was also a Mexican cheese I was supposed to buy that they didn't have, but I didn't be able to get at a regular grocery store. So I was told to go get that from Holiday Market, and I failed on that front. So, but I had to make the effort. So I'll wait in line for cheese. I won't wait in line for anything else.
Okay. So technically you're waiting in line today for cheese.
Exactly.
That's the story.
I'll stick to that.
So Rob is on his second beer. He is on Black Magic from Lansing Brewing Company. I went there just before all this started, probably February. So, and it was a nice day because we went to like 5 different breweries, and I think Lansing was probably like right smack dab in the middle. I think that was like number 3. But we got to do, John. We have to do a road trip.
Yeah, my dad lives in Lansing, so we can go crash out there and sober up before we go anywhere.
So back on the, how do you plan on tackling this when everything opens up? Tyler says, I plan on going ASAP, but I'll be grabbing a table instead of sitting in the bar. Yeah, distance is key. Yeah, it's going to be tough because I love sitting at the bar. That's like my favorite place to sit. When I go to a brewery, if it's the first time or, the 100th time to any brewery, that's the place that I always want to be because, well, you get served. You don't have to stand in line if it's like a counter service kind of place. And as soon as you finish or right before you're about to finish, they're like, hey, can I help you? You want another beer? Like, oh, yeah, I can do that. But yeah, it's going to be tough to sit at a table rather than, sitting up at the bellying up at the bar. And I love sitting at the bar because there's always, stories about, even if you're not like an active participant, it's nice to kind of hear what everybody else has to say about anything.
I'm going to the bar. That's where I'm comfortable. That's what I'm going to do. So,
and Rob comments that he has your Bach in his fridge.
It's a great beer.
It's been quite a while since I've had a Bach. Should probably remedy that.
Saying on one of your last streams that you haven't been to Brewery Becker, is that right?
I've been there, but it's been the last time I was there, my friend had a baby shower there.
Okay.
And
yeah, he does. I'm gonna have to get you in there when their owner's there because he will talk your ear off in a good way. I think he had just taken off at Summer Beer Fest when I ran into him, but I was telling you how he just was running behind and finding all these different saisons and bringing them to me, like right after I got done pouring. Matt's a fun guy to get to talk to if you want to hear some fun beer stories. So
I love that. That's, like the impetus to start this was a lot of it was beer, like just stories that you hear at the beer, at the bar, at the brewery. And I think when my friend had his baby shower there, I think they were like, it's 2 guys, right?
Well, Matt's the owner. There's another guy that's a brewer there, and he's probably not watching this, but if he is, he'd kill me because I talk to him like every time I'm in there. I can't remember his name now, but he's the other like head brewer that's in there.
Yeah, it's a really cool place. It's like, I don't know. It's just like you feel like you're not. You don't feel like you're in Michigan almost. You feel like you're at a European like kind of, and I'm sure obviously that's by design because they're like really Belgian focused. But that's
cool. Like he doesn't have a mug club; he has a horn club. So instead of getting a mug, you get a drinking horn, which is just cool to begin with.
But you actually get a horn?
Yes. And he also will have. I don't know what you got to do to get into this part of his horn club, but they actually take like little. I'm assuming it's like little like rowboats or a pontoon boat or something, but they go out and like have Viking days on the lake and just drink on the lake and then end up back at the brewery. I went in there one day he asked me to come in there to talk to him about something for sound beer. So I go in there and they're like, oh, he's out on the boat. He'll be back in like an hour. I'm like, what? Like it's Viking Horn Day. They're out there doing Viking stuff on the lake. I'm like, what the hell does that mean? So why couldn't I go to that?
Hopefully no Viking funerals.
You know what? If he had said, show up an hour early, we'll go do Viking stuff. I don't really care what it entailed. I would have gone. So
anything Viking stuff, John is in. Remember that for future reference.
I'm willing to try new things.
Josh Abrams checks in. He says he's on his second beer, a triple fruited sour with blackberry puree from Vale Brewing. I don't think we've had anybody check in to any live stream I've ever had with stuff from Vale.
I haven't had any of their stuff.
I haven't either. Josh, get in touch. So we have Tyler. He says, The bar is yeah, it's going to be something that we're going to miss. I think all of us. I'm like ultra paranoid about, just life in general, from technology, and which is really weird considering I'm like enveloped in technology. I'm pretty paranoid about like location tracking and just technology in general. So I don't know. I think I might hang back for a little bit. The temptation might get the better of me. I'm sure I'll go in someplace. And Pat says, opinions on Hop and Frog. John, any opinion? Have you reviewed any Hop and Frog stuff on sombeer.com?
I haven't. I think there's one or two that are up, but I wasn't the one who wrote them on there. They're from down south, aren't they?
I thought they're in Ontario.
Oh, then no, I have no opinion on them. I might be thinking of a different one. So
I could be totally wrong, but I thought that was, maybe I'm thinking of someplace else. Pat, let us know, or anybody in the chat, let us know where Hop and Frog is. I have not had anything from Hop and Frog. I know that they're from Michigan. They're like a relatively recent, like shelf beer. I don't know what to call them specifically, but I know they're relatively recently being distributed here. Like, and again, relatively recently for me is, I think, Akron, Ohio. That's what Pat says. Akron, Ohio. Oh, geez. Now I feel like a total asshole.
that's south from here. I'm not totally wrong. So
technically, you're correct. But I'm thinking of what is that? It's like Flying Monkey. Is that they're out of Ontario, right?
They're from Toronto. They're Canada. I know that.
Well, it's Ontario.
Well, that's close. That they do a triple chocolate something or other that's amazing. So.
And then Pat follows up and says he's drinking BBA Imperial Stout. First brew from there for him, and it's fantastic. What are some Ohio breweries that you haven't had that you're looking forward to trying, or maybe Ohio breweries that don't get distribution up here?
So ones that I've only had, it's a tough one because the ones that I've had,
tough questions here on Draft Therapy.
Yeah, I really like. So I can say what I'd like to try more of.
Okay.
I really liked Noble Beast when I was so we took an impromptu trip to Cleveland last year. Just got in the car one morning and went to Cleveland and figured we'd brewery hop and then come home. Noble Beast really impressed me down there. They're like just like they're walking distance to wherever the Browns play. And we're like, well, let's go get Browns tickets, but they didn't start till nighttime in that game, so I didn't want to be there that late. They were really good. I'd like to try more from Platform. They had a couple things in there that were really good and a couple things in there that really didn't do much for me. And then let's see. What was the other ones I'd like to get? I think Fatheads is down there. I didn't get over to them. Ran out of time on them. I just never really been impressed by Rhine Guys that much from what I've tried of theirs, so I wouldn't really go to them that quickly. I'd go to their actual tap room. I'm sure there's more interesting stuff there. But what I've had in cans and on draft and whatnot, it's never been really that impressive to me. I do. So I was planning on doing this summer, and now I'm not sure what this summer is going to be. But I really want to get down to the Brewdog facility in Columbus, just to check out everything that they're doing. And I know they're a really controversial brewery for all kinds of different reasons, but
right.
I actually, one of the beers I bought today was their non-alcoholic IPA that they have, just to give it a try. But I've liked, I can't think, every beer I've had from them I've really liked. And I used to watch their TV show, and I thought they were pretty entertaining. So I like more of them than I don't. So if I had to say one that I haven't been to as far as like a brewery to check out, it'd be them, although I've had a bunch of their beer.
Yeah, we were going to go last year, I think it was last year, to their hotel and stay it's in Columbus. And when I read the stuff about like how they furnish your room with a tap, like in the, I don't know if it's in the room. I don't know if it's like in the shower or something.
They charge you for it.
What's that?
But they charge you for it.
Yeah, exactly. It's like it's basically a growler behind the wall that is probably refrigerated or whatever. And you have to pay for all that stuff. And it's like, that sucks.
Yeah.
that really turned me off. And my wife's not like a big, she's like, I'm pretty misanthropic. Like I'm a loner and but she's like almost worse in some respects than me. And she was like, yeah, I don't want to, in Columbus, there's a few things to do. I mean, but she's like, I don't want to sit. It sounds like in that area where the hotel is, it's pretty isolated. And
it sounds like it's kind of Dark Horse like that. It's its own little thing.
This is the thing in town to do.
Yeah, that's kind of what I've heard too. But I mean, I've heard all that about the hotel. Truthfully, I only know one person that stayed there, and she seemed to enjoy it. But I mean, I get what you're saying, and I can see how that would be a turnoff to it. But I mean, I'm willing to. I mean, what's the worst case scenario? You're out $300-400, and then you come home. I can survive that.
Hey, three easy come, easy go. $400.
I'm including the room. I'm assuming it's not. I'm assuming the room is not as cheap as the average Columbus, like Motel 8 or whatever.
Yeah. And Pat mentions here Jackie O's. That's like one that I would really like to hit up. But that was the thing with the Brewdog Hotel. It was kind of like when she told me that it was like you got to pay for the beer, it's a little bit extra. It's extra on top of that. And I read some things about that. I was kind of like, not too keen on it. But that kind of almost redirected me to the Pabst. Pabst has a hotel, I think, in Wisconsin.
They got like a whole campus.
Yeah, and it's like overseeing an old like facility, like a canning facility or something.
Yeah. So, well, we were talking about making a road trip out there when we did those Seabird reviews. So
we got to pull some Sombeer / Draft Therapy weight, because I'll put Sombeer ahead because I'm sure you get more viewers and readers than I do. We got to pull some weight and go to Brewdog, do like a video. We'll do a whole thing about it, and because it could be both. We got to do that. We got to go to Pabst.
We've been kicking around ideas for like 3 months now. There's going to be something that comes with it. We just don't know what it is yet. So
we got to do a road trip, some kind of road trip movie. It'll be like Road Trip, the movie with Tom Green and DJ
I'm
Qualls.
sure Tom Green's not busy right now. He's in Canada. He's probably a nice guy.
Yeah.
So
Breckenmeyer. Well, no, Tom Green's super busy. He's in that Onward ripoff movie from whoever does those movies.
I thought he was touring with stand-up and it all got canceled because of Rona.
Well, I'm sure that's part of it.
We'll just call him. I'm sure he's probably cheap. So
yeah, we could call him. Let's call him right now. Actually, special surprise guest Tom Green. No, just kidding.
Right.
I don't have that worked out yet.
I don't have that kind of pull. So
I just don't have the whole system set up on the computer yet to incorporate callers. That's the next step for these live streams, is to have live callers, because I'm sure nothing could possibly ever go wrong with having live callers on a live internet live stream. Josh says, do you have any breweries that ship and do delivery during all this business?
Delivery, yes. Shipping, no. And that's mostly because of state laws. Why I haven't seen anyone shipping. Well, I should say, I don't know who's still doing it. Griffin Claw was doing it for a while. Arbor was doing delivery for a while. Witch's Hat was doing delivery. Again, I'm not sure who still is and who isn't. Ascension is doing delivery. I'm sure I'm forgetting someone now. Brewery Detroit, I think, doing delivery for a little bit there. So,
but was it only within the city limits, or was it outside?
All of them have some kind of limit to them, but yeah.
Birch
was doing deliveries for a little bit there. They're open now, so I don't know if they're still doing it, but
yeah, shipping I know is a pretty much no-go here, but I know that to add to what you're saying, Arvon was doing a weekly thing. I think it was Thursdays or Fridays. They were going out to select areas. Oddside had they did delivery in Oakland County, they did Washtenaw County, and Wayne County were all you bought the beer on their website, and they went to a specified location, and then you went and picked it up from them. For Wayne and Washtenaw, I think for Washtenaw, I know for Wayne it was in Detroit. It was at Bobcat Bonnie's in Detroit, and that was like, I was considering buying stuff from Oddside, but I didn't want to drive to I didn't want to drive to Detroit to go pick that up. I mean, I drove to Detroit today and didn't get anything, but I feel like Oddside didn't have anything really like out of the ordinary that I would go after, other than maybe one or two beers, and there were crowlers, like they were filling crowlers. It wasn't something where you could buy like a 4-pack or a 6-pack of something that they regularly do. It was all special.
I'd be willing to bet a lot of those special releases and stuff that are kind of more. I bet they're probably holding those back, especially if it's something that doesn't have to be fresh. Why not hold it back till you can sell it the way that you want to?
Well, yeah, because I agree. Because right now, if you bought it, it's kind of like, maybe we didn't go through all of it. They don't want to sit on stuff that's been tapped, but not all the way gone through.
Right.
Rob says he will call in. Rob, I'll figure something out. Yeah, he's gonna call in about the glass. He's gonna be like, "Hey, give me my Holmes Tiku glass." Like, sorry, Rob. I got that one. That's the breaking one. Sorry, I got the second one. But yeah, well, that's the next step.
Really you mailed him the broken glass first, and then mailed him.
It costs.
Sorry, Rob.
It costs money. Can't do that. The next step. So the progression of the live stream, and I almost did it today, but I didn't set up till too late. But is the overhead? The overhead's the next step of the draft therapy stream, and then after that is the call-in line. Pat says, when is a bomber too expensive?
When it's more than you're willing to pay for what's inside of it.
Is there a number for you?
No, because I think that I relate this more to whiskey than I do to beer, but I think that for anything, if there's something that you want, you're going to put your own price on it. So whatever beer it is, whatever liquor it is, whatever the case is, I don't think there's like a set line on how much it is or isn't worth. I think it's whatever you're willing to pay for it.
Well, it's kind of like, baseball cards, or I collect a lot of, let me put this in a way that won't be misconstrued. Vinyl figures. Like I used to be a big vinyl collector, like a big vinyl figure collector. And it's like, well, how much is this worth? It's like, well, it's what people are going to pay for it. For me personally, I think my number, like what's too expensive for a bomber, I think like once $20 for me is like a tipping point. It's like, that's when I start to put like the mental equation together. It's like, is it something I really want? Is it something that, I see being worth that much? Like, I think I don't know what the most expensive bomber you've ever bought is, but for me personally, it's been like $25 for CBS when it got re-released a couple of years ago.
For me, it was around 30, and it was something that I didn't think I would ever. 20 was around that tipping point for me for a long time, but then I got proven wrong. I was like, well, why did I get proven wrong? And it's like, well, this is out of Pappy Van Winkle barrels, and it's this and that and this. I was like, so, if it's something I know nothing about, like if I'm just going into it blind and just judging it based off whatever the label says, unless you throw some word in there like Pappy Van Winkle or Weller or something like that, I'm probably going to stop around $15, $20. But I mean, there's plenty of breweries that I know and like that have convinced me to pay a whole lot more. So
let's go back to the comments here. So Josh says that Virginia and DC, the shipping for certain breweries, he knows avail is $22 for shipping, and has a 3 to 4 pack minimum. Josh, do they ship outside of those states, or do you have to be in those states? Because I saw somebody outside of Michigan that's like, yeah, we will ship, but I think it was somebody in California, and it's like, oh, I just read an article about Pliny the Elder, and it was like, yeah, Pliny the Elder, you can buy it online now, and it's like, but it has to be in California. It's like, oh, that's cool, but I'm not in California. No.
There's a lot of things going on in California that's pretty cool that they're doing with beer right now. Like, I don't know if you're familiar with Pure Project. So they do a lot of really The only reason I've had their beer is because they've shipped it to us. I'm thankful for it. I don't know why, but they have. But they do delivery like within like 100 miles of the brewery. They like got a whole fleet of like vans they bought just since this, where they're sending stuff all over California. So
Yeah, I know I think it's really cool when, not specifically, in that respect, but I think it's really cool when like a brewery that isn't in your area or doesn't have a distribution deal will like self-distribute. And it's like, oh yeah, we're like Barrel and Beam, for example, in Marquette, which is 6 hours.
That place is, I wish they were over here more.
Yeah. Well, they have a M4, I think now, deal with M4. But they were self-distributing forever. What's that?
I haven't seen them start popping up around here yet. So
they're in Holiday.
Oh, I haven't seen them in there, but I'm looking next time.
Yeah. They've got a few places that they're at. I think that they do. I know they do. I know they do Holiday. I know that they're in 8 Degrees, like we mentioned earlier. And I think I've seen them in Blue Front in Ann Arbor. I haven't looked like super hard, but I think that's really cool. I really liked when they were doing the like not to disparage them at all, but I liked when they were doing self distribution because you could find them like just crazy places you wouldn't expect to see them. And they're driving, they have a van, they stock up the van, they're driving 6 hours to bring stuff down here. I think that's pretty cool. All right. So I'm cracking my 4th here. What are you on, John?
I'm about to do number 3. We'll go with even more little tiny baby Jesus. Say oatmeal from Evil Twin. And it's got
what? I didn't hear you. What's that?
It's got a fun name.
Yeah. I am drinking. So this is from my Witch's Hat pickup last week. This is Luchador Furioso, which is a Mexican chocolate stout.
I wanted to grab that and I couldn't get time to get out there. So
we'll do an exchange. I got 3 cans left. This is the first time I'm having it.
I'll get you some of these box.
Yeah. That sounds even.
I can get you other stuff too. So
you're like Uncle Robinson. It's like I have family in the furniture business.
I generally give people beer pretty much every time I see them. So
Rob, we go back to the Bombers. Rob says, Sam Adams Utopia. That's like nothing.
Yeah, see, I wouldn't buy. I'm just not interested in drinking that beer, let alone paying for it.
What do you got against Utopia?
I don't want it.
Oh, look at this guy. So this Luchador Furioso is got a really odd nose to it. I've heard people love this, but I haven't. I just kind of went on their website last week and I was like, well, what's some things that they could be pretty good? And this was one that was like, I'll try this out.
I'm going for Mexican chocolate. If you put Mexican chocolate in pretty much any beer, I'm going to buy it.
We got Pat. I don't know if I've shown this before. Pat says Hoppin' Frog Bomber was $30. It's delicious, but Bourbon County might be better. Yeah, that's a whole other can of worms. I agree. Josh says that with the Vail stuff, you have to be in Virginia and DC. Z Laraway says, do you think special pre-order pickup BBA beers are coming back in recent New Holland Dragon's Milk and Bell's Expedition Stouts releases? Thoughts on that process? If anybody isn't aware, last week New Holland had a system where you could buy online. There's 3 different Dragon's Milk special releases for 2020. I was going to say 2019, but for 2020, where you could go online and buy basically your allotment of triple mash and 2 other Dragon Milks. And I don't know how everything went, but I know that I got mine. I got my 4-pack of each, but I know that a lot of people were complaining that they didn't get what they were looking for. I know for me personally, I was looking for a Tiku glass. This is before I broke mine, but I was going to get the Tiku glass for Dragon's Milk, and that like sold out like within the 3 or 4 minutes that I went online to try and buy this stuff. I got all the beers that I wanted, but the glass itself sold out. John, what do you think of all that kind of business? Have you heard any backlash, or do you have any opinion on that?
I think for right now and everything that the way just things are right now, it makes sense because the last thing you need is 500 beer nerds sitting outside waiting to buy a beer that they might or might not be able to get. I think it's probably the best way that they can release these beers and not have to deal with as much of a crowd the same way, hopefully. Generally, so my preferred way with releases is a ticketed system that's not entirely dependent on online. Like if you can actually go to like I know Witch's Hat has done this. Drafting Table does this. There's a couple others that I've seen do it where you can go and it doesn't really matter when you sign up as long as you sign up. And then they determine allotments after the fact, so they can kind of base off allotments off of how many people they have signed up. Generally, though, when they do online releases like you're talking about with New Holland, I haven't heard anything about how the Bells one that went. Didn't they go live today?
I don't even know.
I think it went live today at like 10-ish something. I didn't get it this year because I got a whole bunch of it last year, so I still have like 8 bottles downstairs, so I'm not worried about it right now. I've heard a lot of bad things about how, like people complain about how Old Nation has done them because they've had when what's that MEMI one and Strawberry 43, all those. I've heard them just people can't even get into the site because people just crash it by going into it beforehand.
Yeah.
So, I'm not sure how you really alleviate it. I mean, I think ideally a ticket system works better because you don't have to get in line. You just show up, get your beer, and then you go home or have a beer, whatever. But doing it in a way where you have to rush a server that's really just not equipped to handle that kind of traffic, that doesn't seem to be the way to go. But again, right now, it's not like anything's moving smoothly, so why not do it that way? So,
yeah, the only complaint that I would have against, I don't know anything about the Bells system because I didn't, honestly, before this, I didn't know about it, but was that, like when you put stuff in your cart, there should be some kind of system that says, this is in someone's cart. You have 3 minutes to complete your transaction. If your 3 minutes passes and you don't complete that transaction, then, it goes back into the pool. I mean, again, the only thing I missed out on for New Holland was the glass. So I guess that means for anybody watching this or anybody who watches the channel, you can expect to see a triple mash review like after June 14th. I know that it's releasing like on June 6th or maybe even earlier, but I set my pickup time for the 14th for those 3 different beers. I won't have them before that, but yeah, it's like if you're there and you put it in your cart, it should be something where, you should be, it's in someone's cart. It's reserved for somebody, and it shouldn't be, I think personally that it shouldn't be something that someone else can come in and poach like the information. Because it's like, if you think of something like Ticketmaster and think of it like a live event, people can write bots for all this stuff. Like, what's to say that people aren't writing bots for beer releases? I mean, this crowd, the people that are obviously into beer releases are pretty rabid. Like, I'm trying to get this thing. And the thing that bothers me is the people that are out, not necessarily because they want to try it. Like for me personally, I'm like a triple mash. I'm probably not going to go for more than 2 bottles, like I don't need 4 bottles of most stuff. And that's why I buy 1 4-pack of it. But I know other people, obviously they hold on to it, but I don't know. And I could be totally in the dark, but I don't know too many people that buy a full, like, I'm going to buy the case. If they offer the case, I'm going to buy the case because I want to drink a case of triple mash.
It's not just that. You also get guys who own party stores and will buy as much as they can because they can sell it in their store. I think I was telling you about a guy who owns a party store who saw that I was drinking a heady topper and was trying to get me to mule heady topper from Maine into Michigan.
John, where's my heady topper?
Yeah, well, I got that from someone else, so that's why I didn't get that.
Yeah, right.
But I was like, dude, you can't even legally sell that. Why are you trying to mule this in here? So I mean, that's the other side of it. Is like how many people go in there. It only takes one guy to buy it all up and sell it either through his store, whether it's legal or not, or on the secondary market for whatever he wants to mark it up to.
Yeah, that's kind of like, I didn't do no rules reviews for a few years, and it's not because I have something against no rules. It's like I couldn't get it. Like I don't have the specific weekend that No Rules was selling at Perrin's, at their brewery in Comstock Park. I couldn't get there those weekends. So it's like, when it was in stores, I was already going to like 4 or 5 different stores to see, hey, do you have this? Do you have this? Do you have this? When it wasn't widely available. And then they moved to brewery. It's like, I'm not going to get there, so I'm not going to bother with it because that's not my game. But it's kind of the same thing. It's you got the people that are going to, oh, no rules. So, well, it's really no rules. You can come in and buy the whole truckload. It's like, oh, okay, that's cool. I guess you don't really give a shit about the people that want to try it.
Right.
I don't know. That's my candid thoughts about that. So Rob says his third beer is Brother Thelonious from North Coast. I've seen that beer on shelves like year over year over year over year. I've never tried Brother Thelonious.
I know I've had it. I can't. That's the Thelonious Monk one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, fantastic. I bought it because it has Thelonious. So I bought that beer before I really knew what it was because it had Thelonious Monk on it. So I was like, I'm going to buy this. Very good beer.
You were into it because he played the piano with straight fingers, right?
Exactly. I do prefer, if you're going to go into jazz artist beers, Dogfish's Bitches Brew is superior in every way, but both are awesome beers.
Is that Dogfish Head or is it Flying Dog?
Dogfish.
Oh, okay. Well, that was Flying Dog for some reason. Let's see. Back to the chat. Zeeler always says, Epic Brewing Big Bad Baptiste Mexican Chocolate Stout is a great
down in the cellar. So
I have a Big Bad Baptist, but I don't know which one it is. I don't know. Dragon's Milk release is supposed to hit store shelves around here. I don't know if they're gonna. There's. I think it's funny with the Dragon's Milk stuff. There's like a second set of the reserves that are supposed to hit shelves, but I think the triple mash and the 2 that they're offering for that ticketed thing is like its own specific deal.
I honestly don't know.
Yeah,
I thought that they were doing the ticketed thing, and I was like, that's kind of weird. They seem to distribute everything. So
Rob says it's like the unemployment server, always down.
Pretty much.
Zealair always says, also, what's up with the bigger breweries putting out any style IPAs that aren't really New Englandy? It looks like Z. Laraway has been watching some of my reviews. He says Bell seems to be the biggest offender of this. I'm really curious, John, to hear your take on this.
I don't know that.
Why can't Bell figure it out?
I don't think they care to figure it out. Why? So, I guess the question would be is why are they trying to do it? Because if they don't care about it. I mean, they already arguably have the best IPA in the country as far as like a West Coast style IPA. If they don't care about New England IPAs, then why even try to crank one out? I don't have a good answer for you as to why they're trying to do that.
Yeah, I was looking under here while we're talking, and I thought I had a pack of official, but I think I ended up eventually getting rid of that. Like this official 6-pack or whatever they sell cans in sat under this bar for a good 6 months because I refused to drink any more than what I drank in the review. I was talking to a friend of mine earlier today about Incessant, and so for those not aware, that's the double New England style IPA. That I have 2 left of the 4-pack, and I tried a new one or a second one yesterday because I was like, well, maybe I just didn't give them a good shot. Like there's some kind of review bias or something where I don't know, maybe I had a bad day or I just wasn't feeling it. And I tried it yesterday and I poured I poured like as much of a glass as I could fit in with the head and everything. And then I held on to it and then I poured it back in. and I didn't finish it. And it's not because I feel like it's a bad beer. It's because I feel like it's not a New England. It's not a New England style IPA. If I wanted to drink an IPA, which is what I thought it was, I just drink an IPA. I would just grab an IPA. But when I go to a store and I pay $16 for a 4-pack of a New England style IPA, I want it to be New England style IPA.
So when I had I did end up having Incessant. I sent you this when we were talking about it the other day. I had the general store release of it.
Yeah.
So I didn't have it in the can. I don't remember having the same response to it that you did, but I also don't honestly remember a whole lot of it at this point. So that could be good or bad. I think where it would probably serve them better is instead of trying to call it a New England IPA or whatever. Have you been to Bell's Tap Room?
The general store or general store / whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I really like about the tap room there is every time I go in there, they have their Two Hearteds and Oberons and all that stuff. And then there's this whole second half of the board that says experimental beer 46 or whatever. I think they would do themselves better by just instead of calling it a New England IPA, just call it an experimental IPA and put it out on the shelf as its own thing. Because you're not saying an expectation then. You go into it knowing that you're probably going to get something. I mean, Shorts might as well write the book for this, but you're setting the expectation that you're getting something outside of what the traditional style is. So maybe it's not so much that they're making these weird beers and kind of going outside the lines with it. Maybe the problem is more so that they're calling it a New England IPA, and then what you're getting is anything but that as far as what you're expecting.
Yeah, it's like a kind of bait and switch tactic. Like you feel like, oh, okay, I'm spending $16 on a 4-pack. I'm used to spending $16 on a 4-pack of a New England style IPA. This is a pretty good bargain because it's a double. And then you take it home and you're like, what is this? This isn't like anything like what I thought it was going to be. And I was pretty excited about Incessant. Like I went and kind of tracked it down. Like there were a few places that I could have went to the week before and picked it up. And instead I picked it, I waited till it got kind of local and picked it up. And it's like, oh, this is going to be great. It's kind of like the thing that I like to say a lot on these videos is hype is the beer killer, right? It's kind of like fear is the mind killer, but hype is the beer killer. And I brought it home and it was like, this is not what I thought it was going to be at all.
Even from like a marketing perspective though, like if you go into something like a Bell's or Stone or like one of these huge breweries that has a reputation for, say what you want about any of these breweries, but they have a reputation for making these supposed great beers. If they put in something just the word experimental IPA, you're probably going to get something hoppy, but much past that, you don't know. I almost feel like you could, at least for a while, get away with tacking an extra $1 or $2 on the price tag just because you're getting something different that you probably haven't tried before.
Yeah, and I think to your point, if they marked it as experimental, I wouldn't have any problem with any of the way it tasted or any of the issues that I had with it. But because they say it's a double New England style IPA, and I go specifically to pick it up because Bell's, their IPA, their New England IPA, and somebody commented on the video, Official is their single. It's like Official. They don't even call Official a New England IPA. It's a hazy,
don't they?
Yeah, and it's like that's okay. Hazy could mean anything. Most people when they see hazy, they think it's going to be New England.
I actually like Official, but I know I'm in the minority on that one. So,
yeah, I think as an IPA on its own, it's fine, but because the expectation is that it's going to be a hazy IPA, and I feel like I'm in touch or in tune with the rest of everybody else that thinks a hazy is going to be a New England style or a juicy or whatever.
Yeah, it's kind of like if you take the opposite. They said, "Oh, this is our new Imperial Porter or whatever," and then you pour it into a glass and it's like pink. You're gonna look at what the hell is this?
This isn't what I bought.
Right. So I mean, it's just if they just call it experimental, you can put pretty much whatever you want in that bottle, then kind of go from there. And people are going to at least be more, I would think, be more accepting. They might not like it, but they might be more accepting of the fact that it's weird because they went into it knowing that, well, it's experimental. So,
yeah, you're going to get anything. Could be anything.
Right.
All right, so going back to chat, Pat says, do you guys have regular watering holes that you visit or visited more than once a week, brewery, brew pub, or otherwise? I know, I think I can speak for both of us. It's probably breweries. I'm sure for you, it's probably more drafting table. For me, I don't know if I'd say more than once a week because the nature of this channel for me is like, I'm drinking a lot of stuff at home alone, and anybody that says drinking home alone's for losers, I think, that's really, come on. I drink multiple times alone at home. I love it.
Solitude is for winners. Yeah, I drink it.
I like the way you think.
Normally, like under normal circumstances, I'm probably at drafting table 4 nights a week. Pretty regular there. I get to Ascension maybe once every other week or so. Usually, we like the food there, so we go there for that a lot. I try to get to Brew Detroit every other week or so. I like them a lot. And if I'm there, I'll probably pop into Batch too, at least see what they got going on because they're like right there. As far as like bars and stuff that I'm at regular, I just moved before all this happened. I moved in December, so I didn't really because the weather was bad. I didn't, and then pandemic happened. I didn't really find like a normal just like a bar to hang out in yet where I'm at. Before all this, I used to go to the library pub in
Novi.
I went to the one in West Bloomfield. It was right
okay.
walking distance from my house, and they had PBR all the time, so I would go there a lot. Good sliders. I was pretty regular there because I could walk there. I used to go to Uptown a lot too because they were just right by my house also. Uptown Grill and Commerce. Pretty good tap list there also. Past that, I kind of when we go out to try to get like dinner, I should say I go to Charlie's still on Main in Milford pretty regular for whiskey and stuff like that too. But past that, I try to find new things or whatever.
Everybody's going to know where to see you at when everything opens up. They're like, oh, yeah.
I'm pretty sure they know where to find me anyway.
Anybody that wants to find you knows where to find you.
The weird guy with blue hair wearing a NoFX shirt in some bar, that's probably me. So,
well, the blue hair thing's new.
It's been like 2 months now.
Well, okay. Relatively new.
Yeah.
I mean, I know 2 months feels like about, 16 years at this point.
Last time I saw you in person, it wasn't blue. So
that's true, yeah. And 2 months feels like my kids should be like 20. They should be like graduated out of college by now, or working at
They're just going to have a whole new set of life skills. You got to get them a machete. You got to get them a Bowie knife, maybe a bow and arrow.
Bow and arrow, that's where it's at.
Yeah.
I just don't. I outside of doing the reviews and doing the beer briefs, I don't really drink that much outside of those like windows, and I try to do like everything in multiples so I can kind of get them banged out. But yeah, I mean, like you said, I have a couple places that I like to hit. I love to hit Ascension's like a place I love to go to because I've been there so much now that I know, pretty much everybody that works there. So it's cool to kind of go in there.
They got your logo on the wall, so.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, got the sign and everything. Thanks to Randy. Randy made the sign, and he pretty much convinced them before I even went in there to put it up on the wall. But yeah, I mean, I other than that, I don't really hit very many places up. But yeah, that's what I got. Let's go back to chat. Pat is saying Flying Dog was Bitch's Brew. I told you it's Flying Dog.
I can go get it if you want. I know it's Dogfish.
How much you want to bet?
I don't know, I'll bet you a beer.
Okay. I'm with Pat. I bet it's Flying Dog.
Hold on.
All right. John has disappeared from chat because he's trying to prove this bet. Pat, if it is a beer, then somehow if I can give you half a beer, we'll split it 50-50 down the middle. Yeah, I mean, as far as watering holes and stuff like that, I pretty much do. I'd say probably 80% of the drinking that I do is alone. I don't go. Oh no, Pat. Pat tells us that. Oh, John's right. Oh, Pat. I feel like Pat owes me a beer. What is it? God damn it. Pat, as soon as you left to go get that, Pat's like, oh no, John's right.
I'm right sometimes.
All right. Well, I owe you some beer.
I'm sure.
I'm sure it'll even out after a while. So let's go back into chat. Let's see. I know Z Laraway. So we were talking about the whole New England style IPAs. He says they're BBA. Yeah. I mean, almost everything new that's hitting shelves is BBAs or New England style IPAs. Not too many people or too many breweries are putting out IPAs that they're not putting IPA on the label or New England style IPA. And Josh says, do you think the haze craze will fizzle out? And that's coming from a guy that's been drinking a lot of clean pilsners. What do you?
I'm a Pilsner guy through and through.
Yeah.
There's all that stuff. I don't think the haze craze is going anywhere. Bottom line with it is it sells, and it's a more approachable IPA than a traditional IPA. It's got more sweetness to it, so I think it's got more mass appeal. And they don't ever stay on the shelf or on taps long when you have something that's a short run with it. So I don't think they're going anywhere.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think that New England's they're going to coexist for a long time. I think that pilsners, lagers, stuff like that are something like when I went to Beer Fest in the UP in the fall, that was a lot of places that were doing pilsners, were doing really great pilsners. And I feel like if you're doing a pilsner, you almost have to have, I guess I don't understand how you can do a pilsner or a lager or something like that and not have it be in a separate kind of facility, because the temperature difference is so much between ales and lagers. I think it's kind of cost prohibitive.
Answer, but that's something I don't have the answer to right now. So
yeah, but I think that they're both kind of, people that are into hazy IPAs, New England style IPAs, the sweeter IPAs are it's a little bit easier to move into Pilsner / lager. Maybe more Pilsner territory than lager territory, because I feel like Pilsners are more of that they're on the sweeter end of lagers. You get like that light, crisp, refreshing kind of flavor. They're something that is ingrained in us, for so long, having macros like Bud Light or Budweiser, stuff like that. It's kind of something that's familiar to our palate. New England's are sweet like that.
I think there's something to be said too. Like I used to love IPAs. Like it was probably 90% of why I would drink. And over time, I kind of found IPAs being more and more just another IPA. Like I'm not saying I don't respect them. I still do. I still like them, but it felt more and more like when I would go in, and there's so many breweries out there now. Like it felt more and more like when I went in there and got an IPA, it was all right. That's just an IPA. There's something to be said about, and you'll hear brewers talk about this all the time, but there's something to be said about a drinkable beer, a beer that you don't have to dissect. You don't have to overthink, just something that if I'm going over to your house and we're going to just barbecue or order a pizza or whatever, you're just going to throw back 3 or 4 of them and not, fall over, not any of that stuff. And that's kind of where lager and pilsner and all that kind of fits in. It's an everyday drinker that can taste good, be really clean, but doesn't make you feel like you got hit over the head with a piece of lawn mowing equipment the next day. So, I mean, again, they have their place but I think more and more the farther I get on my beer journey, I feel like it's almost a gateway into craft beer because it's so radically different from what you get from Budweiser, Coors, whatever. Yeah. It's such a polar opposite from that, and it kind of opens your mind to all these other things that you can have. But I think there's a lot again, for me, I'm a football fan. So like on Sunday, I used to, like 5-6 years ago, I'd start the day with, I'm going to drink Two Hearted all day and watch football and whatever. By the time the 4 o'clock games were over, I don't know what happened,
Yeah.
But if I'm drinking like, a Pils, a lager, whatever, I can have like 5 or 6 of them through, like too many of them still through the course of a Sunday, but I can make it to the end of the Sunday night game and wake up the next day and work without feeling like I just got ran over by a truck. So, there's a lot of reasons why they exist. Obviously people like them, but they're a lot more, I think, again, for me, as I go on with it, I'm less interested in getting drunk or drinking to get blitzed and more interested in just drinking to enjoy myself and enjoy my company. And lagers and pilsners seem to enable that better than getting sloshed. So
What do you think is one of the higher end ABV wise of the kind of Pilsner lager kind of game? I mean, not including any kind of BBA version or anything. I know Wolverine does like Massacre, which is, astronomical as far as lagers are concerned. But what are like the average ABVs for?
Average is probably like 4 to 5.5% in that ballpark. If you see something pushing 6 or 7%, that's probably on the high end for it. And you're going to find that more in your places like Wolverine, your one-offs here and there, but average probably 4 to 5.5%, that area.
Going back to chat, Pat says drinking at home alone is how you truly appreciate the brew. I'd agree.
I would too.
As someone who enjoys drinking a brew alone. And Rob says, I only drink alone because I don't want to share my beer, and it's not cheap to share with idiots who think Budweiser is, that's their slogan. Just like Draft Therapy is like the #1 beer review channel on YouTube.
I'm not arguing you.
Well, there we go. Sounds good. C. Laraway says, do you guys ever feel like a professional appreciator of beers like John Cusack's character in High Fidelity is to music?
No.
No?
No, because every time I think I've figured out something about a beer, someone comes along that knows so much more than me and totally reminds me like you're kind of an idiot. You only like beer. So...
now that you bring that up, I know that I read a lot of stuff, and it's like I feel like I always feel underconfident in my knowledge level, and I know by no means this is not like a super duper enthusiast channel. Like I don't know everything. I'm not certified. I'm not. There are several other beer channels out there that I feel are way higher level than I am, and I could name several, like just off the top of my head, that I feel like that I watch, that even people with even less of an audience that I feel like do a better job. They have like better palates than I do. But I try to, I don't know. I feel like I'm not necessarily somebody that speaks to the crowd that's like, upper echelons, like Master Cicerone, or I don't know all that stuff. That's not like my thing. My thing is more like, I want to talk about what I taste, or the beers that I like, or the beers that, or the breweries that I like. And if you're on that same page, then that's great. But if you're somebody that's here that is like again, Master Cicerone, you're going to be way over my head.
I don't know, I got in an argument with the Master Cicerone at Witch's Hat one day. So
at Witch's Hat?
Yeah. So it was about pumpkin beer. I personally am not a fan of pumpkin beer because it tastes like pumpkin. Go figure. And, they were trying, I don't want to say who it is because there's only 2 of them in the state. I don't want to narrow it down, but they were trying to narrow it down too much. But they were trying to convince me that pumpkin is not a flavor. What you're tasting is spices and all this other stuff. And I like those spices in other beers because, like Three Scrooges, for example, I like that beer and that has all those same spices minus the pumpkin. And what the debate came down to, I was like, you're forgetting kind of the important thing here, that taste is subjective. And if I've never had a pumpkin beer that I like because it all tastes like pumpkin, you could say that that's not pumpkin and they're all you want. It still tastes like pumpkin. So for me, that's a problem. They didn't want to hear that, but it turned into like about a 15-minute debate where like two of the brewers were watching me and them go back and forth about it, and I'm pretty sure they left it like, this idiot doesn't know what he's talking about, and that's fine. So
Did it come to fisticuffs?
no, thank you.
It should have, and then you should have recorded it, because that would be entertaining everybody here.
Right.
And then it's Beer Drink, who has a channel on YouTube as well. And I know that when I did the Taste of Atlanta stuff around the New Year, which seems like, I don't know, 1,000 years ago at this point, it's Beer Drink kind of helped me out with some of in the comments of the video to tell me about, different Atlanta beers. And I know like Trim Tab was one of the ones. He's like, that's not in Atlanta, that's in Alabama. So it's Beer Drink. I'm honestly honored that you're here watching this live stream. So yeah, I don't know. So what I'm drinking here, and I don't know if I ever talked about it, was Luchador Furioso. It's a Mexican chocolate stout from Wichita Brewing Company in South Lyon, Michigan. I have no idea what the ABV is, but I've been sipping on this like the whole kind of time that we've been talking about all this stuff. And this is a pretty legit Mexican stout. Like, it's got a good flavor to it. It's got a bit of a cinnamon kind of deal in there with all the chocolatey kind of stouty characteristics, but I think that's kind of like what you'd expect to taste from something that's like a Mexican chocolate.
I still want to try it, so
I got 3 cans of it. I bought a 4-pack.
Gladly trade you things for that. So
all right, I'm sorry. We got to go to Rob. He says, should have smashed your beer glass on the forehead of the Cicerone. I would, yeah, that's something you would have had to have video of.
That would have been epic.
All right, and Z Laraway says, weirdest thing you've drank beer out of? No thinking. He says, go.
I don't have that many weird things I've drank out of.
Yeah, that's a hard, like for me, a glass.
Yeah,
I need to hear what the chat says about that. What's the weirdest thing you guys have drank beer out of?
Yeah, I don't think I've ever drank anything out. Pitcher, I guess, would be weirder than a mug or a glass.
You never did like a beer bong or anything?
Actually, okay, yeah, there you go. I had so it was like a Halloween beer bong that was like, this is not that weird, but it was a Halloween beer bong that was a skull with like a tube coming out of it. So I'll go with that because that's the only thing I can think of.
Josh says, mine's a bowl. I'm not like a super adventure. I like the craft beer stuff or even beer in general. Like, I didn't discover until after like all the college years and all the times that you'd be doing like really crazy stuff. So I'm like, I don't know if I've ever like done a beer bong or any of that kind of stuff.
I didn't say it was a good beer that I drank out of it.
It doesn't have to be good. It just has to be beer.
Yeah.
Classified as beer.
It was cheap.
Rob asks, as a Mexican, I ask, what exactly is Mexican chocolate?
Mexican chocolate is typically chocolate that has spice added to it. I've seen it done a bunch of ways, but a lot of times you'll get chipotle peppers, jalapeno, cinnamon, things like that will kind of add a heat element to the back end of the sweetness.
I'm glad you answered that.
Sorry. Mole is awesome.
Yeah, so it's a chocolate taste, Rob. Sorry. So it's a chocolate taste, and it has a bit of a cinnamon aftertaste in it, and I appreciate that. Have you ever had the Mexican spice cake from New Holland? The Dragon's Milk Mexican spice cake?
I haven't had theirs. I've had one from Perrin. I think it was a one-off that they did. That was pretty good. And I had one from, was it Wybecker or something like that? Some Pennsylvania brewery.
Yeah.
That one's pretty good. No, as far as like cake stouts with it, but I haven't had the one from the New Holland one.
That was like right before I started doing all these videos and wasn't like, collecting beer in mass quantities like I am now. So I didn't get a chance to try that one, but yeah, this is like when I think of something that says Mexican chocolate, I think, like you said, of having some kind of spicy note to the, to the beer, to the chocolatey taste of a stout.
Right.
Let's go to Josh. He said, and just to kind of, before we answer this question, I was only planning on going like an hour long with this live stream, but yeah, all good things go to those who wait. Or yeah, you're not working tomorrow, are you?
Oh, I am.
God bless you. All right, so Josh asked, what's the highest ABV beer you guys have had? And this goes to the chat too.
I think it was like 18 or 19% on a beer. It was one of the Dogfish. It was either Worldwide Stout or 120. It was around like 18 or 19%, something like that.
Yeah, I think you got me beat. I think the triple mash from last year was probably the highest, and I think that was 17.
I thought it was 15, maybe 17. So
yeah, I have a New Holland 20-year anniversary, which is a 20%.
Yeah, that's I was offered that and turned it down. I didn't want to pay for it. So
yeah, I have it somewhere, and I have a tank bender from Founders, which I think is 20% too.
That's the Icebox they did with Brewdog, isn't it?
I think tank bender is like their 20. I don't know. I bought it in a set. It came in like a wooden box. I have no idea what the percent is, but I thought it was like close to 20.
Yeah. So have you had an Icebox before?
I don't think so.
So they're magnificent. They're really like unique, weird beers. And the only reason I really found out about them is we were talking about Brewdog. They had their show, and they did an Icebox with Founders in the middle of winter. And it's got this weird like fermentation process where you basically do it under a lake, freeze the outer shell of it, and like hyper elevates the gravity of the beer. And then you get essentially the end result is you get a super boozy beer at the end of it once you take the center out, which doesn't freeze because of the alcohol content.
Water's been extracted because it's so cold.
Yeah, something like that. I'm probably butchering the process, but
so it's like Molson Ice.
Yeah, exactly. I've had a couple that like were imports from Germany and stuff like that, but I never was able to get any hands on the Founders one that they did with them. At the time, Founders wasn't what Founders is now, where you can find all their releases everywhere forever. It was still limited at the time, so I never got it. But I always, that was one I was like, man, that's going to be around forever because it's like 20-something%, and it's probably it's not going to go bad. So
yeah, I'd have to look at what tank bender, like what the actual descriptor or like, style, like the specified style, what that is. Yeah. I have no clue. I'm going to go through chat, but we got a really interesting one here. Anyways, TJR says, drinking a Belgian I just bottled, not fully conditioned yet, but it should be good by the time it's aged a month. That'd be really interesting. Let me know how that turned out. Z. Leroy says, what do you consider the Napa Valley of beer in the U.S.? If you could spend just a week in any region or city just for tasting beer, where would you go? That's a really good question. I think we're going to have, I don't know, maybe we'll have different answers. I don't know.
So I would have two different answers for that. My Napa Valley to me is Grand Rapids because I'm a homer, and Grand Rapids is probably the best beer city in the state. But if I had to spend a week just tasting beers and roaming around and being nomadic about it, I'd probably go to San Diego because they got a million small, tiny breweries out there that are totally different. It's a whole different approach to brewing out there. And I mean, who doesn't want to spend a week just hanging out in San Diego? It's beautiful out there. So
here it's like 70 degrees like all the time.
Exactly. Sunny, 70. Maybe there's some, you might see Chewbacca walking around if it's the right week. So
I would agree with, I mean, I eat the cornbread. I don't know much about outside of Michigan, to be honest. Like this YouTube channel and focusing on Michigan pretty much exclusively has, when someone says, oh, hey, have you heard of this place? I'm like, never heard of it. Like, have you heard of, XYZ? Like, sorry, I don't know. Like, so for me, I'd agree with you. Napa Valley would be Grand Rapids. I think, I mean, I could spend a week there and I could go and try all these different places, from like places as, from that places nobody's heard of to places that are, like founders that are world famous, or at
I could
least
spend a
craft
week.
beer famous.
I could spend a week in Brewery Vivant alone and be perfectly content.
Yeah, I don't know about a week at Brewery Vivant, but that would definitely be a day.
Oh, I could a week, no problem. So
If we can get enough funding, maybe we can get somebody to sponsor this. Maybe we could get Grand Rapids Tourist Council. I know I have a week of vacation from work that I can take. I would love to go like around Grand Rapids and just kind of hit all these different places and document all of it. And just, if we had free reign to just go into places, there are so many places in Grand Rapids that I've been to and places that I haven't been to that I could totally fill out easily, 20, 30, 40 minutes of just video of talking about all these different places. I know that Asheville is huge. That would be another place I'd love to hit and take, several days to just kind of hit all these different breweries from around that area. I got one of the viewers of the channel reached out to kind of, say, hey, you want to come to the Untapped Fest for this year? Pete Johnston in North Carolina was like, hey, you want to come out to do the Untapped thing? And I reached out to Untapped, and obviously all that kind of went virtual this year because of all the issues that we have going on. But that would have been, I think that would be a really awesome place to hit up and just check out. And we have some comments here. Zeller always says it's college student in Colorado State. That's another place. Like, I wouldn't short shrift Colorado at all, but there are so many places in Colorado that would be awesome to hit up.
Agreed.
And it's beer drink would, he says definitely North Carolina. And
so my brother-in-law has talked up North Carolina to me for about 4 years now. I just haven't made it down there, but he's been flat out like, skip this place, just go straight to North Carolina. You'll be happy about it. So
it's like, I mean, I know that Michigan, we have, I don't know, 300 plus breweries right now. And it's, I think it's like the fourth largest state in terms of breweries. And I, like I said, I have blinders onto Michigan because that's like primarily what I focus on. And the stuff that I've been doing outside of Michigan is either stuff that people have sent me or Tavor I've had access to. But I know, for a fact that North Carolina, California, obviously New York, New Jersey, Massachusetts, like the whole New England kind of style area.
Florida.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, Florida.
There's so many places that are just exploding, that we could easily spend a week. But for us, I know for you and me, for accessibility, Grand Rapids would be, it'd be off the charts. There's so many places out there.
I've already canceled 4 of my vacation days that I was supposed to take because those things got canceled. And there's another one that I haven't canceled yet because of Summer Brew Fest. So might as well take a trip. So
yeah, just got to make sure my wife's cool with having me away from the house for a week.
I'll just kidnap you and send a ransom notes for a week. No problem.
The problem is there's no money to send for my ransom. So if it was a legit thing, I'd be done.
I'll kidnap you, say ransom this, ransom that, and then at the end of the week, like, I got bored with it. Here he is.
Here, please take him.
Right.
And Rob did a super chat. Rob, thanks so much. I appreciate that. But he adds a caveat that it's the $9.99. It's shipping for his glass. So Rob, just for you, I'm going to take this. Just kidding. I'll send you the glass. Get off my back. But yeah, so we're like kind of coming close here. We're at 10 seconds for this whole thing. If there's any other questions you guys have, well, all right. So we got some new comments. Z Laraway says, when will direct shipping from beer from breweries become legal?
When government learns to cooperate with other governments, so probably
Never. Yeah. I think I sent this on Twitter, and I think it's just kind of like, this is a totally first world problem, but this is a perfect example of why breweries of any stripe, from any like small brewery to huge brewery, should be able to sell directly to consumers and not even to cut out the distributors. This whole pandemic has been a perfect, reason for why they should be able to send to whoever.
So I don't know about beer, but there's litigations open about that right now for spirits because of what this pandemic is doing to not just I care about the whiskey industry, but obviously other spirits too. There's open litigation in Texas, Kentucky, and 2 other states just to try and be able to do just that, to ship their product directly to consumer because of situations like this. Now, kind of like we were talking about with the bottle releases from New Holland and Old Nation, Bells, and so on, I'm sure it would create a whole new batch of problems if they were doing that for certain things. But at the same time, like there's stuff I don't know if it will get here or not because I know they distribute here, but there's a distillery in Texas called Balcones that has a Bach whiskey that's out now. I'm just super curious about it. So I would, if I could just ship it to me right now and not wait for it to filter up to Michigan, I'd be fine with waiting for that. So
yeah, all these different states have such weird laws against, this, like, it's Beer Drink here says the shipping issue will never change due to different states having different laws. Here in Georgia, we aren't allowed beer over 13%. That's, whatever the percentage is, that's kind of crazy.
13% is actually generous. That's on the higher end. There's some states that have it as low as 5 or 6% or even lower. So
he says it's a proven fact if any Georgian consumes over 13%, they do try to do stuff like marry their pets. But yeah, I know like Utah has like really low ABV standards, or I think they've recently changed that law and it's a little bit higher, but it used to be like under 5%. Beer had to be under 5%. So there's all these different, different states. That's the great thing about the United States is that we all have our own different laws, but that's also like the stumbling block to a lot of the stuff. I still think it's kind of crazy. I wonder if services like Tavour or Grizzly, I wonder what the different regulations or different things that
I know
prohibit them.
Grizzly still doesn't operate in Michigan because I check it every week. Tavour is a little bit different. And to be upfront, my interactions with Tavour has been when they've contacted me, not the other way around. So I don't have the same experience that it sounds like you've had with them. But it is interesting to see that they're able to, how they're operating, what they're able to ship, where they're able to. So I almost wonder if they have an algorithm to kind of weed out what can go where.
I think the way is, I can only speak for Michigan, but I know that they have some kind of mailing address or distribution center or system in Michigan. So I wonder if they have to do that for every state, because when I get stuff from Tavour, it ships out of a Michigan address. Even though that's not where it originates from.
Last package I had, I don't remember where it came from. I'm going to check next time I get one, though.
So we have a taker if we decide to do some kind of trip. Rob says he has 2 weeks vacation. He'll drive us anywhere. So
we could just deliver Tiku glass. I'll find a Sambir one for you. So
pick us up and we'll deliver the glass to you. Josh says he was trying to plan a trip to Vermont. My buddies at Lumber Slayer and Friends, the podcast, were trying to do. That's what they were doing, like a New England kind of, not necessarily Vermont, but I think they were trying to do Treehouse and all the Massachusetts stuff to get the New England style and do a few other things. It's Beer Drink says he's been trying to get his hands on some Monkish. Ever had anything? I know that I have not, because that's like, it's almost like, Monkish, you got to be there like when they release it. And if you're not there, you're SOL.
Yeah, I haven't had anything of theirs either. So
I think that they're kind of like, we know we're selling this. We don't need you guys to be here to pick the stuff up.
right.
We don't care if you're here or not. We sell this stuff out in like 10 seconds. They're in California.
Hmm.
All right, so we're at about 2 hours and 5 minutes. I'm going to finish this Luchador Furioso, and we'll probably get the hell out of Dodge here. If we have any other questions for John at sombeer.com, again, I haven't mentioned in a while, but if you're joining us super late, because this is like near the end, if you have any questions for John at sombeer.com, or myself at Draft Therapy, let us know. But I think once this little sip is finished, we'll be done checking it out. Let's go back through the chat here, and John says, it's beer drink. John, it's beer drink. Reach out to me. We'll get you on the stream next time, because I'm looking for people to get up into the channel. We can do the live streams. John, obviously you're always welcome. And Pat says, opinion on any Indiana breweries. I don't know how many you've had.
Quite a few. I like them. I love the hell out of Taxman Brewery. They're awesome. We were talking about Three Floyds kind of throughout the week because they've been in the news and have opinions both ways on them. Flat 12, I really like them quite a bit. Truthfully, I'm not a big fan of their beer, but I have a lot of fond memories around Sun King because, well, I'm a Michigan State fan. I drove down to Indiana to watch them beat Ohio State in the Big Ten championship, and there was a lot of Sun King that was drank that night, so I have a fond memory associated with Sun King as a result of it. Trying to think of some other ones down there, but yeah, Indiana's got a lot of really good stuff down there.
I've only really had Sun King. There was a place in Indianapolis. I went down there for work. I think it was called like St. John's, and it was they converted this old church into a brewery, which I thought was really cool. And Three Floyds.
Springs yet?
What's that?
Have you been to Salt Springs yet in Ann Arbor?
I have. Yeah.
There's another church brewery convert. So
Looking Glass is like that too, right? They have they were in a church.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that part of Avant was part of a church at one point.
Yeah, funeral home.
Yeah, and then there's another one that I'm spacing on too, but there's another one in Michigan that's on the west side of the state that's like that too.
Yeah, I liked St. John at the time. It was really weird because I was with my boss and another coworker, and like I was the only beer drinker, actual, not hardcore beer drinker, but beer drinker. And they shared a flight, which I thought was really weird for adult guys to share a flight. No judgment on that, but I thought that was really odd. And I'm like, I'll just drink pints. I'll have like 4 pints or whatever, and I'm good. And they were like, well, and they sipped it.
Share a flight with my wife, but much past that, you got to get your own. So
yeah, it's a little odd. But anyways, Sun King, Three Floyds, Urban Artifact, I think. Are they out of Ohio or are they Indiana?
I'm not sure. They're around.
I've never had, one of those two states. I've never had 450 North. Upland, I've had Upland.
Upland's great. 450 North is really good. I think it's 18th Street. I think that's what it is. They're really good. They got one called like Fox and Hound. It's an Imperial Porter that I really liked, and they did one that was an Imperial Milk Stout, and I don't remember the name of the beer now, but the label blew my mind because it was this like really intense like Japanese dragon type thing, and I don't know, I like that kind of thing. So so David, the other guy that runs Sound Beer with me, he makes a lot of business trips to Indiana. So when he goes, there's a carload that comes back. So yeah, I'm pretty familiar with. I like their stuff. So
Rob asks, when should I pick you up?
I got to work tomorrow, so Sunday works for me.
I'm off till Wednesday, so. Zealer always says, thanks for taking questions. Appreciate it. How many beers are in your stash or cellar?
Around 200-ish.
Wow. I thought I had a lot. I have a wire rack full of beer, but it's not necessarily all stuff that I'd want to try.
I got a wood rack downstairs, and I have 2 small fridges, and then the normal kitchen fridge.
Yeah, I have a large, regular size, large fridge that it's full of beer, but it's not necessarily anything or everything that I'd want to drink. A lot of the stuff just kind of sitting around, like, we'll do these live streams and I'll say, oh yeah, I want to break out this 2017 Black Note. And I don't really want to do that. But I got a lot of those kind of beers just kind of hanging around in my basement here.
The good problem to have, I have a lot of beers that I'm like, oh, I really want to drink that. But I'm like, yeah, but I don't really want a umpteen% beer at this time of night when I got to wake up tomorrow type beers.
Yeah.
So
I think I talked about this with Peter from Beard's Brewery, and it's like, I think we kind of treat beer precious, like too preciously.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff, it's like, well, I got to crack this when I X, like when I graduate college, or when I get my master's degree, or when I get my doctorate, or when I get a new promotion, or I start a new job, or when I end a job that I hate. I think we kind of treat beer too preciously a lot of, just a majority of the time. It's like, it's great that, you have all this stuff, but it kind of sucks that you just sit on this until, and I can look around. I'm not innocent of this. I have zillions of beer all over the place.
I've gotten better about that over the last year, because my new thing that I like is we have a lot of like friends through, whether my friends or Kelsey's, my wife's friends or whatever, that are just kind of getting into beer. So my new thing that I really like is finding like we have one friend that she can't get a lot of these like limited release beers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So she'll come by and like, oh, well, you like stouts. I'm going to pull one of these like super limited stouts that hasn't been made in 4 years just so you can try it. So I like giving stuff out now for people who just want to experience something new, because really I'm only going to like get that excellent job or quit that job or so many times with it. And usually when I'm doing that, let's be realistic. If I'm celebrating, I'm going to bourbon. So, I got to find a better reason to kind of open the beers. For a while there, I was opening them when Michigan State won a big game, but that doesn't happen as much anymore. So,
low blow.
It doesn't happen. How's it a low blow? We haven't been good in 3 years. So,
I don't know. At this point, I couldn't even argue the point with you, so I'm going to agree with you.
If it makes you feel better or worse, I blew my last Project Pam the last time we beat Michigan. So
that was like 2 years ago.
Yeah, I still miss that beer and that victory. So,
all right, last comment we're going to give to Pat. He says, thanks for watching, you guys, or thanks for interacting. Very enjoyable experience. Keep crushing it. Pat, thanks so much for watching. Everybody that's still watching, thanks so much for watching. This is like, honestly, when I do these live streams with anybody, John is a great participant, because we can get a lot of back and forth, but it's always an enjoyable experience. John, let us know, where can we find you?
So for me personally, you can find me at Sombeer John with underscore between Sombeer and John. You can follow Sombeer at sombeer.com, at Sombeer on pretty much every social media platform. And occasionally I pop up on Draft Therapy. So
that's true. All right. And if any viewers want to kind of get in this, I still haven't done this, and I know Randy, he's EP in the comments. You'll see him. We got to do like a Zoom call and get a bunch of people on. It won't be anything on YouTube. We'll just get together and talk. If you want to get in on that, just email me at Sean@drafttherapy.com. That's SEAN @drafttherapy.com. We will get some information on there. And we'll leave the last comment or the last kind of statement here in the chat to Rob. He says, John is great. He mentioned my beer glass first. Rob, to give you credit, I don't think you mentioned the glass at all. It was all John. We have only John to blame for that. So, again, as always, thanks so much for watching. Until next time, I'm Sean from Draft Therapy, and we have John from sombeer.com over there. Boop, boop, boop. Enjoy craft beer, support your local breweries wherever they are, especially right now. Stay safe, and most importantly, don't forget to treat yourself, to a little draft therapy. John, thank you so much for joining.
Cheers.
All right. Cheers, everybody. I have an empty glass, but cheers, everybody, and take it easy until next time. Whoa.
It didn't break.
His next Tiku for us.
It's Rob's.
Yeah, exactly. Adios.